Hi everyone, we're going to be looking at how to describe chemical reactions in this particular video and introduce concepts with balancing. So what we have here are the 5 different kinds of reactions we're going to be going through. So synthesis, decomposition, single displacement, double displacement, finally combustion. And what we want to do is we want to be able to describe these reactions. So how do you do that? Well, when it comes to describing reactions, you have to use chemical equations. So you've already seen these before, and there are 3 basic ways you can do that. So the first one, just use words to describe what's going on. So you're going to have hydrogen reacting with oxygen to give you water. So what these symbols mean is reacts with, and this arrow over here means produces. So we don't write those words down, we can use those little symbols, but the actual names of the compounds or elements are written down in just regular text. Now, what we can then do, it gives us more information, is write down a skeleton equation. Now, skeleton equation is very similar, except now we have chemical formulas. So instead of hydrogen, I'm going to write down H2, oxygen, O2. So we're going to have hydrogen combining with oxygen to produce water. Again, we're getting a little bit better. However, I need to know quantities. How many molecules are going to be reacting? How much of the reactant is going to be produced? So what you want to do is you want to have a balanced chemical equation. This gives you the correct amounts of each compound or element. So here we're going to have 2 hydrogen molecules combining with 1 oxygen molecule to produce 2 water molecules. So this is really important, and this is what we want to strive for, is to have a balanced chemical equation. And why do we balance? Remember from grade 10, it's the law of conservation of mass. Whatever atoms you have at the beginning, you have to have the same number of atoms at the end. They're just rearranged in terms of what molecules they're in. So how do we go about balancing? Well, one of the first things you have to do is you have to be able to properly count atoms and molecules. So basically, the way we look at this is we're going to be looking at this example here. So this example, I've got here sulfuric acid. And sulfuric acid, let's look at this. We've got 1 molecule, this whole thing, of sulfuric acid. How about the atoms of hydrogen? We're going to be looking at the subscripts. So the subscript tells you how many hydrogens there are. There are going to be 2 hydrogens, 1 sulfur, and then 4 oxygen. So altogether, we're going to have 4, 5, 6, 7 atoms in this molecule, which isn't that important, but it's more the individual tally that's important. Now, the coefficient is the next thing that's significant. This tells you how many molecules we have. So for example, here, I've got 5 of these molecules of sulfuric acid. So I've got 5 molecules. Now, how many atoms do we have? I don't just have 2. I've got 5 times 2, or 10 atoms altogether. Similarly with the sulfur, not 1, it's 5 times 1, so 5. And finally with the oxygen, you're going to have 4 times 5, or 20 atoms of oxygen. So be careful with the coefficient. It's like almost like the distributive property in a way, like in math, where you have to multiply 5 times each of these atoms. Now where you have to be careful is when you've got brackets. So for example, here I've got magnesium hydroxide. Well, how many molecules do we have, or formula units more properly? Let's write that down, formula units. We have 5 formula units. How about this? How many atoms of magnesium? We can 5 times 1, so it'll be 5. How about the oxygen? You've got to be careful here. In here, you've got 2 hydroxides. There's 2 of them. So you have to be careful with the brackets here. So you're not going to have 5 times 1. 5 times 2, or 10 atoms of oxygen. And finally, 5 times 2, 10 atoms of hydrogen. So just be careful. You're going to be multiplying here, and then you'll multiply at the end. I think you've seen this before in grade 10. I just wanted to quickly review with you. Take care.